Hello, my beautiful Royal Sussex Squad family. Welcome back to the channel where we celebrate love, authenticity, and the power of choosing your own path. Today we are diving deep into another mind-boggling example of just how desperate the tabloid media and certain so-called insiders have become in their endless crusade against Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Now listen. Before we even get into it, I want you to take a deep breath, grab your favorite drink and get comfortable because we're going to peel back all these false narratives and expose the truth. And by the end of this, I promise you will feel even prouder to stand with Harry and Meghan because no matter what venom is thrown their way, they keep rising, and that's why we love them. So, let's unpack this ridiculous so-called betrayal narrative they're pushing now. The latest gossip claims that Queen Elizabeth felt betrayed by Harry and Meghan. They say she was heartbroken, suspicious of Meghan, angry about Lilibet's name and so on. The usual recycled garbage they love to throw around whenever they're desperate for attention and clicks. Can we just pause for a moment and acknowledge the audacity here? These people are literally making up feelings and emotions on behalf of a queen who, by all real accounts, deeply loved her grandson. Harry was always close to his grandmother. He always spoke about her with deep respect and affection, but of course the haters can't handle that. They need to rewrite history so they can continue demonizing Meghan as some evil mastermind who stole Harry away. They are basically turning the Queen into a prop for their smear campaigns. They claim she was profoundly unhappy and felt betrayed after Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview. Really? Let's remember what that interview was truly about. Harry and Meghan shared their truth. They spoke from their hearts about the racism and neglect they experienced. They talked about suicidal thoughts, about the horrifying moment when Meghan was told her baby's skin colour was a concern. But instead of empathy and compassion for that young couple and the child they were trying to protect, what did the institution do? They brushed it aside with a cold "recollections may vary" statement that right there is a betrayal, not of the institution but of Harry and Meghan. It was the palace and the courtiers who betrayed them by refusing to protect them and by failing to stand up against racism. Now they want to twist it all around and make Harry the villain? Please. The only betrayal here was of Harry and Meghan's trust and their human rights. They wanted support, they wanted safety, they wanted dignity, and instead they were met with cold indifference and leaks to the press. Let's not forget how Harry rushed back to be with his grandmother when Prince Philip died. Let's not forget the genuine moments between Harry and the Queen that we all saw over the years. The video they did together for the Invictus Games, the cheeky, affectionate banter. Those moments cannot be faked. You cannot manufacture that kind of love and respect, but these so-called sources would have you believe it was all an act, because to them truth doesn't matter, only the narrative does. Oh, and let's talk about Lilibet's name. How dare they say that Harry and Meghan used the Queen's nickname without permission? The couple have always maintained that they had the Queen's blessing. The Queen's own staff later muddied the waters, probably at the behest of jealous courtiers eager to stir the pot. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan were simply honouring his grandmother by naming their daughter after her. That was an act of love, not a PR stunt. Then they bring up Wallis Simpson again. Every single time. Can you imagine the laziness of these people? Any time they want to smear Meghan, they drag out this tired old comparison. Wallis Simpson, Edward VIII. Oh, please. The situations are completely different. Harry did not abdicate the throne. He was never in line to be king. He and Meghan stepped back because their mental health and safety were at stake. There is nothing scandalous about choosing life over duty when that duty is crushing your spirit. These haters claim Meghan manipulated Harry. But here's the truth. Harry is a grown man, a decorated veteran, a father, a humanitarian. He has dedicated his life to service in ways most of his critics can't even imagine. He fought in Afghanistan twice. He set up the Invictus Games to uplift wounded veterans worldwide. He has walked behind his mother's coffin as a child and endured unimaginable grief in front of billions. You really think he can't think for himself? They say Meghan engineered their love story. Wow. Isn't it amazing how a smart, beautiful, accomplished black woman is always accused of scheming whenever she finds happiness? When a man chooses to protect and love his wife, he's called weak, whipped, or manipulated. That's the deep misogyny and racism at play. And yet, Harry and Meghan continue to rise above it all. It's like they forget that Harry and Meghan are actual people with feelings, children, and lives beyond palace walls. They are building a new life in California, working on humanitarian projects, raising two beautiful children with love and intention. They are thriving. But for the haters, that's the real betrayal, because they cannot control the narrative anymore. They also keep pushing this story about the Queen being angry when Harry would call. Another lie designed to degrade Harry's character. The truth is, Harry continued to stay in touch with his grandmother even after moving to America. He always prioritized that relationship. They shared private moments, private calls, something no tabloid will ever truly know. The silence these sources speak about was likely a moment of reflection, not coldness. But nuance doesn't sell papers, does it? Now they want to use Kate's illness and appearances to distract people from Harry and Meghan's success. They praise Kate's stoicism, yet they attack Meghan for being honest about her mental health. The double standards are so glaring you can practically see them from outer space. Kate deserves support as she navigates her health challenges. We don't need to tear her down to lift Meghan up, but we absolutely must call out the media when they use one woman's struggle to attack another. It's cheap and it's harmful. Meanwhile, Meghan and Harry are out there living their best lives. Meghan's ventures are thriving. Harry continues his mental health advocacy and supports wounded veterans around the world. They are shaping their own legacy far away from the toxic palace games. So when they tell you the Queen felt betrayed, remember who's really been betrayed. Harry and Meghan were betrayed by an institution that refused to protect them, by a media landscape obsessed with scandal and hate clicks, by so-called family members who chose image over kinship. But in the end, love wins. That's why they are still here, standing strong, inspiring millions around the world. They turned their pain into power. They turned their grief into action. They chose each other. They chose their children. They chose life. I want you all to remember this. Every time you see a hateful headline, every time you hear a smear story, Harry and Meghan have shown us what it looks like to choose love, to protect your mental health, and to stand in your truth, no matter the cost. That's why we will always support them here on the Royal Sussex Squad. Insiders unload on Prince Harry's betrayal of Queen Elizabeth. How Harry blew his relationship with the Queen, the late Queen. Elizabeth II was extremely suspicious of Meghan Markle and ended up being profoundly unhappy with Prince Harry and Meghan after they wed, Sally Bedell-Smith revealed in her Substack column this week, prompting several sources to deliver fresh accounts to the royalist of their own understanding of the Queen's dismay at her once-favoured grandson. One source, a former courtier, told the Daily Beast, "Ultimately, the Queen felt betrayed by Harry, and when he and Meghan attacked the institution that she spent her whole life serving in the Oprah interview, that betrayal was complete. It was absolutely shocking to those of us that knew him that he would do that, not least because her husband was on his deathbed." The Oprah interview with Harry and Meghan was broadcast on March 7th, 2021. Prince Philip died on April 9th, 2021, 33 days later. In the interview, Markle alleged that the royal family had expressed concerns about how dark her first child's skin would be when he was born. The allegation prompted a response from Buckingham Palace. While some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately. The former staffer told the royalist, "The allegations of racism dismayed the Queen. To accuse an unidentified person within the family of racism, thereby casting the shadow of suspicion over everyone, was unforgivable in her eyes." That was what ultimately prompted her to issue the "recollections may vary" statement. Things were never the same after that. It was a horrific series of betrayals at the end of her life. Speaking to biographer Robert Hardman, one staffer said that the Queen, who died at 96 in September 2022, was as angry as I'd ever seen her after Harry and Meghan publicly claimed that they consulted with the monarch before giving their daughter the Queen's nickname. "They used her name Lilibet without her permission for their child," a source told the royalist. The Queen's team told the BBC the palace had not been asked for permission in advance. Another friend of the royals told the Daily Beast, "You have to remember that the Queen was seriously ill for several years with bone cancer. She knew she was dying. She could hardly see. She could hardly stand. She could hardly move. And then she was completely let down by her grandson. It was utterly devastating for her." A friend of Prince William and Kate Middleton said, "The family, of course, all blame Meghan 100%. As Sally Bedell-Smith's column made clear, he ain't the sharpest tool in the box, and they feel he was completely manipulated, and that Meghan saw him and realised she could become the most famous person in the world. Then the reality of what their boring royal life would be like sunk in, and she decided to ruthlessly milk it for all it was worth. That is their view." The revelations by Bedell-Smith were based on interviews with the Queen's cousin, the late Lady Liza Anson. Bedell-Smith said that, just days before Meghan and Harry's wedding, Anson told her, "We hope, but don't quite think she is in love. We think she engineered it all." The friend of William and Kate added, "The family think it is a rerun of what happened with Wallis Simpson and Edward VIII, and the only solution is to follow the same playbook. Exile worked before, and it will work again. In 1936, Edward VIII abdicated to marry American Wallis Simpson. This weekend, the Daily Mail Society columnist Richard Kay gave a tart anecdote from a Buckingham Palace switchboard operator who recalled Harry calling the late Queen after moving to the United States. The operator followed standard procedure, ringing the Queen's private number and letting her know who was on the line. She would always thank you, and then you would connect the call and leave them to their conversation, the operator recalled. But this time, something else happened. When I announced to the Queen that Harry was her caller, there was just a stony silence. In fact, it was so uncomfortable that I filled the silence myself by saying, "Thank you, Your Majesty," and then connected them. It was memorable because the Queen would never not acknowledge you. Kate the Great All-Attention next week will be on Kate Middleton, who is expected to make a rare summer appearance to greet French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife at the beginning of their state visit to the United Kingdom on Tuesday. Middleton is not expected to attend a formal state dinner, but Prince William will. Middleton's decision to go ahead with the engagement, even in truncated form, will be welcome news to royal planners who have been trying to figure out exactly how much Kate will be able and willing to do in terms of royal engagements. Not just this year, but until she becomes Queen. Kate has long made it clear that she has no intention of being a Princess Anne-style royal, clocking up hundreds of public appearances a year. But following her cancer diagnosis and recovery, she is making that explicit. She skipped an appearance with the King at Royal Ascot, citing balance. As the Daily Beast reported at the time, this triggered a real sense of panic in the palace. Then, this week, she told a group of cancer patients about the really difficult period she has endured since being declared cancer-free earlier this year. Kate didn't directly mention her absence from Ascot, but did say, "You put on a sort of brave face, stoicism through treatment. Treatment's done, then it's like, I can crack on, get back to normal. But actually, the phase afterwards is really difficult." She added in remarks reported by People, "You have to find your new normal, and that takes time. And it's a roller coaster. It's not smooth like you expect it to be. The reality is, you go through hard times." Kate announced she had been diagnosed with cancer in March 2024. The disease was discovered after she underwent abdominal surgery. She announced in September 2024 that she had finished chemotherapy and said in January 2025 that she was in remission. And my beautiful squad, if you enjoyed this deep dive today, if you feel empowered and ready to defend the truth, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and share this video with your friends and family who need to hear the truth. And if you'd like to support the channel even more, consider leaving a super thanks. Every donation helps us keep fighting the good fight and spreading the positivity that Harry and Meghan so deserve. Thank you for being here. Thank you for standing with love and light. And thank you for being part of this amazing family. Until next time, stay blessed, stay strong, and keep shining. Love always wins.